Hey, welcome to Forever Exiled. I'm Justin, aka Tags.
And I'm Tyler, Wrecker of Days.
Episode 268. November 22, 2024 is our date, at least. Who knows when people are hearing this, but welcome to 264. We did it. We're almost there. Almost at the end.
With SO. Oh, you didn't actually say it.
No, it's not my thing. Big shout out to everybody who resubbed up this week for Patreon. Thank you so much. Patreon gets you access to After Dark. It's our podcast after the podcast. And it's just more us, you know?
Rocking it.
We appreciate your support. So thank you so much to everybody who's part of that.
Agreed. Thank you very much. And good luck to everybody. So we got a weather warning this week or last week about a cyclone bomb or a bomb cyclone coming through. And, you know, that kind of sucks because our area's been hit pretty hard by a variety of different versions of rain over the last few years. And so anyway, bomb cyclone comes or cyclone bomb comes and it's like nothing happened in our area. Absolutely nothing.
A little bit of wind.
But, well, yeah, not even. Like, my wife asked me, I went out with the kids during part of it, and my wife's like, so? And I'm like, so? And I'm like, she was asking about the weather, and I'm like, honestly, I didn't even feel a breeze. There was nothing. But then you go on the news, and a bajillion people are without power, services are disrupted. Poor Vancouver Island just got smashed on the west coast of the west coast. Sorry, we're inland a bit, but the more west coast of the west coast. And so anyway, our hearts and well wishes are with you if you lost power, lost your roof, whatever it was. Lots of trees falling, so wish you the best.
Can I just bring something up though? Can we just say a storm is coming? These are new names.
I wonder if they are, or if we just started noticing them because we flooded 42 a few years ago.
We didn't just all of a sudden. I'm telling you, when we were, I would say, what were we? Probably 38, 39, or 40. What was the one, the rain? I mean, it did do a lot of damage to your house. What was that called? They called it
an atmospheric river.
Brand new. Never heard that growing up.
Yeah, right. But what's one thing when you were a kid that you couldn't pretend to be? It was a meteorologist. Like, you could stand up in front of your parents and pretend to point at some screen, but you'd be like, and it's going to be hot here, and it's going to be a little cold here. Like, you couldn't come up with and it's going to come over the western. I don't know. I can't even do it now. So those terms were probably always there, and we just zoned them out, being like,
definitely
that's just a meteorologist being a meteorologist.
I think they're trying to sound smarter about it. They're like, it's a cyclone bomb. Like, what does that mean? I don't know what that even means.
Yeah, that's someone from our generation, used to video games, used to being all dramatic.
You can't say bomb. You can't say bomb. Weather and related and a bomb, they don't go together.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Our flight's going to be a little delayed today, folks, because we've got a cyclone bomb coming
I don't remember any bombs that extend their duration through the night or through the day. Bombs go off and they're done. So a cyclone bomb to me is just like boom. Like just all at once. That's not what happened. It didn't happen. It was a storm. Why can't we just say storm?
Oh, it was a big one. It was a big one. And for everybody,
say a big storm coming.
So for everyone who was impacted by the big storm locally, we wish you the best.
All right.
So does Justin.
Yes, we do. I do. But that's not what we're talking about. We're moved past that. Yes.
Okay.
Wish you the best. It sucks. Nobody likes going through that. But come on now. Just call it a storm.
Back to the real issue, which is modern day definitions.
Seriously, you can't make up new words. It's not even new words. You just put two words together to make it sound cool. I honestly feel like sometimes it's to scare people, and I don't think that that's totally necessary to freak people out. But anyway.
So while we're on the subject, happy incorporated birthday, GGG. I say November 25th. Beck said November 27th, but 2006. So we're talking 18 years of GGG being incorporated, and it comes on the week of, with the exception of them actually announcing the existence of their original game, the biggest announcement they've ever made.
Yeah, that's probably true. Yep.
I mean, even the announcement of PoE 2 at ExileCon in 2019, yes, that was a huge event. Yes, that was a massive announcement, but it was also a confusing announcement. People didn't quite know what to make of PoE 2
because they were making something.
There was never going to be a sequel. They were always just going to stick to Path of Exile 1. So when they announced PoE 2 without knowing, it kind of when you have that confusion, it kind of changes everything. But now, like, even if there was no announcement to PoE 2, right, we've actually seen gameplay, we've seen this, like, it was a big announcement. So in my opinion, arguably the second most important announcement. Congratulations, GGG, by the way.
Mm-hmm. It was cool. How was your week before we get to it?
18 years. We had a good week. It was a heavy week. We put down our cat this week. Came out of nowhere. He got super sick, super fast. Not sick as in like an illness. We don't know if it was cancer or what, but like it all of a sudden got to the point where it looked like he was out. Yeah, Earl's gone. We have no cats now. Yeah.
No way.
And he was great. He was absolutely great.
Oh, that's too bad, man.
And then all of a sudden it was like he couldn't move some of his legs. He couldn't do anything. He couldn't eat. He just like within 3 days just dive bombed. And brutal. Everything. When we took him to the vet, we didn't expect to take him back, but when we took him to the vet, the vet's like, it's like, time. I mean, I can give you options.
Yeah.
But we're
you
like,
don't want to keep the cat in pain.
Yeah. And so we did that. And it sucks because both of my kids were very attached to this specific cat. Arguably my son's
That's the one you've had the longest,
friend. Right? We had them both at the same time.
Oh, okay.
But I think we were married for maybe 4 months before we got pets.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the first time in our entire marriage where we've only had one pet, which is now Riley, the dog.
Yeah.
But hopefully parents never get to hear this or feel this, even when the kids are young and they cry for different things. And there's a whole bunch of different people. Like there's adults that like pets are exactly like part of the family and they mourn for a pet just like they would for a person. There's other people that are going to scoff and roll their eyes. So just tolerate it if you're one of those people. But it was really heavy because my son, like when you hear your own kid sob from the heart, that sucks.
Yeah,
like it was, rough. But we insisted on the kids being there with it and, to experience it as horrible as it is. And then because they were so close to the pets, we let them have the next day off school, but they're back at school today. And so, it was a bit of a heavy week, but it was good because we got to spend a lot of time together and there was a lot of ways to distract ourselves and we were having a lot of fun. And it was important because all the other losses, like with my dad or my wife's best friend or a whole bunch of other stuff that's happening, it was just, it doesn't hit home for the kids like it does for this. They're at an age, so it was important to talk to them about a whole bunch of different things. Like you don't have to feel guilty about having fun. You don't have to feel like you always need to be sad, but it's okay to cry your eyes out if you want. So it was a very edifying time. But way more importantly, we discovered as a family that Smarties are not sold in the United States.
I know, isn't that weird?
You knew that?
I did.
And you didn't share this?
Sorry, it didn't come up as a topic.
What? Like,
I don't know why.
Apparently it's because they already have something else called Smarties, and the Smartie brand refused to change their name just for the country, so they just don't sell them in the States. That's what I gathered from the information, but who knows, because I only half listen to my wife whenever she speaks, but that's what I got from it.
Yeah, it is weird. Huh.
Yeah.
They didn't
they're everywhere else. And and they're from Canada.
Smarties is from Canada. I guess that makes sense. Yeah.
Huh. I don't know. I don't know why it would
Good
make
job,
sense,
us.
but yeah, we're the best.
How did that come up?
That's just what happened this week. That's
how
all.
Did that come up though?
It was important for me to share that with you.
No. I mean,
that was in my notes.
How did that come up as a? How did that?
I have no idea.
Okay.
My family talks about that. Like, I just like eating in silence, and then all of a sudden it's like, Dad. I'm like, yeah. And they repeat the question. So, I don't know where it came from.
Okay.
So how was your
random fact of the day at dinner? I get it.
It was.
My week was good. I know I say it all the time. It was busy. It was awesome busy. Like I like being busy. Yesterday was exhausting. I was in Vancouver all day and that was tiring. It's
a tiring city.
It is, but it was literally, I was there from like, my day was from 6:30 a.m. and then I didn't get home until about 6:30 in the evening. And it was just all day and it gets exhausting.
That's a lot. Yeah.
It was a leaders summit and it was cool. Like it was a cool event, but
now you're a super leader.
It was, you know what? This is funny though.
I got with everybody.
Asked to speak at a national level. So and I got caught way off guard, wasn't ready for it, and couldn't find a good way to get out of it.
Oh, yeah.
Crap. So it was fun, though. It was a cool event to go to, but it was really tiring, especially just with the week, because the week was like super busy. We've got some really cool things at work happening right now. So it was good. We did some Christmas setup. So like getting all ready for Christmas. Kids love that stuff. Yeah. So the tree and all that. I think we did that actually the week before, but yeah, it's good. It was a good week overall. Kids are good and everybody's happy and healthy, which I'm happy about. Otherwise, I didn't do much. I played some Satisfactory because I just needed something. I canceled my WoW subscription. Familiar. Yeah, it's like I don't even know what you build factories, but it's all about like managing lines and building. It's really cool. It's a fun game, but I just need something to fill the few times. I just was looking for something to do while I wait for PoE 2.
And you didn't play PoE 1, huh?
Nah. Canceled my WoW subscription.
Good for you.
I canceled it like 5 or 6 hours before it was going to renew. I just happened to remember. I was like, oh, I should probably go in and cancel that. And I was like, whoa, that was close.
Yike-a-roonies.
Almost had to play it for another week. There was something else I was going to say.
What? Week? They do it weekly?
Month. Sorry, month. Give me a second. It'll come to me. Oh, we watched The Penguin. That is really good.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's like a mini series. Sort of the start of The Penguin. And I'm not a big, like, whatever.
I love how you say that word.
DC
keep going.
Penguin?
Mm-hmm.
How do you say it? Penguin?
You say it almost like, Penguin? So when I lived in Brazil, there was a nice restaurant called The Penguin.
That's what I just said. Penguin?
But I mean, it's different language, and so they call the animal differently, but it's the Latin language, so it's similar to us, and so it was penguin.
Penguin. Okay.
And so that's what it's out. That's what I thought you said.
The penguin?
Penguin.
Man, you I don't think I said it
sounded like you said penguin.
Penguin. Well, we watched The Penguin. It was really good. Really, really good. It's like a mini series on like the start of him, and it's Colin Farrell, which is crazy because
he's great.
Does not look like him even a tiny bit. Like it's just insane what they can do with makeup and
I'm glad it's good because like it always weirds me out a bit. Like, could they just not find a more overweight actor who's phenomenal and, you know, spend less time and resources and makeup and get it all done? Like it always, you know, or when they get somebody who is not from said nationality to do like a heavy Russian or whatever accent to do that. And it's like, are you sure you couldn't find somebody? Like, so it always like, I hope, like, I'm glad that it's nailed. Like he's phenomenal and it's nothing against him. So I'm glad it's good. The acting in it was really, really good. The storyline was very cool. It was kind of cool just because like I'm not a big DC or Marvel person. I don't know all the backstories behind them, but I loved all the Dark Knight movies and, you know, so it was cool seeing, which Penguin wasn't part of any of those, but it was cool seeing, hello. It was just fun to watch. It was a really good show. So highly recommend. I still haven't watched the 2 episodes of Dark. I'm hopefully going to finish them today. Ooh, it's a season ending.
I haven't been able to.
We're on 9-10, right?
Yeah.
Well, get to the
last 2.
And then also, you do say penguin. You say penguin.
Yeah, I think you're hearing things.
Does it feel? No, it's penguin.
No. Anyway, The Penguin was good. However, you're hearing it, that show was good. So, what do we got? Are we going straight into PoE already?
Yeah, man.
14 minutes.
I intentionally didn't put any. I didn't even look if there were other posts. It's just let's talk about early access and the FAQs.
With whatever you tell me. Oh, there's an FAQ. Cool. So they did so I didn't get to watch it yesterday because I was gone all day. You watched it live, I assume?
Yeah.
Okay. Why do you say it like that?
Well, not the Q&A. I did the first 45 minutes of the Q&A.
I didn't watch any of the Q&A.
Bailed.
Yeah. Okay. That's not for me. But I said that last week. It's never my thing. It's cool that they do it. I appreciate that they do it. It's probably great for some people, but to me, it's too much of a deep dive that I just don't. I want to hear their announcement. I want to hear what they want to tell us. And
we know all these details are going to change.
Sure. And some of it I don't need to know.
If it's base mechanics, you're going to learn about it the second you play it. And if it's a deep dive into specifics. Well, I mean, balancing hasn't even happened yet. So
yeah. So yeah, let's get into this. But I just want to say first off, well done to the production team getting proper mics. It sounded very good. It was very nice too. That was the first thing that I thought. I messaged Ty right away. I was like, they got new mics.
Right. And so he watched after. And the very first thing that I said in response to him was like, Justin's an audio guy, right? And it wasn't just the audio people in our FE community that spoke out about the mics live. Like,
awesome. They probably heard
everybody noticed
about it.
Well, but still though,
it
like
good.
But I also
so
noticed on like on the other platforms that like people noticed, and it was fine. Well, because they were so bad, and it's not their fault unless I guess at the end of the day it is, but you don't fault.
It's not their thing.
I'm not trying to be a blame thing, but when you have a hand-holding mic, you have a lot of habits that you normally have when you talk to break. You can't move your head around. You can't talk with your hands. You can't do this, and that removes the natural form of things. So it was nice that they finally did that.
It sounded
They
great.
probably listened to us, and that's why.
It sounded so much better. It was so nice to hear them. It actually, even the processing on the audio was very good. So it was just congratulations to the production team, because I always love their live stuff. Or you can call it live. I love these presentations they do. They do them for every league. I'm so happy they've continued with this process.
Yep.
So it was nice to listen to it and not just cringe a little bit through it, and instead just focus more on what they're saying.
A lot of those like sounds that you edit out,
which you might not even hear normally what Ty just did.
Well, sure. But they like a lot of the lip smacking and tongues and stuff like that. That was cut down so much with their old system. Mm-hmm. Because of podcast land and what we're attuned to now, it really stands out, and it used to really stand out. So that was really nice.
Yep.
Really
awesome.
nice. But
awesome trailer. Holy balls. I started watching it and thought I was watching the wrong thing.
Right.
When I first started, I was like,
wow.
Yeah. Who did I click on? What is this?
Blizzard doing this stuff?
So good.
Yeah, they did a great job with it. And but it was interesting too. Mm-hmm. It wasn't like, there's so many of those where you see it happening and it's just one cool thing after another cool thing, but it's all just stupid and cheesy because it's typical.
Like total storytelling. It was very good.
Yeah, but you right away you had questions and like, what's going on? And then you're like, oh, no way. And you don't even know the characters. Like, oh, slit his throat. No, and, it's kind of neat. And then you all of a sudden, but you get a lot of history in it too, right? With like the smack talk the arrogant prick is doing to the ghostly figure.
Cleave sucks, obviously.
Yeah, because the weapon gets stuck in the enemy.
The girl says like something about your weak cleave. The only thing I hoped as I watched it was that, and I messaged you about this, I would love to see cinematics through the campaign.
Well, it gives you the impression that there's
I'm hoping they do. Now,
one thing, this is a dig to Path of Exile 1, but Erin was watching with me when we were watching the reveal, because she's quite into it now, and especially into the sequel. And you know that part of the cinematic where the witch, she's casting her fire at the spirit that's jumping around, the hooded one, and then then you see that look of despair, like, I'm not injuring it, like, what the heck? I'm like, hey, welcome to Path of Exile 1. You're not told anything. When something doesn't work, you have no idea why, and then somebody dies, and you still you're not any better off than you used to be. But congratulations on at least surviving the experience and having your super OP co-op buddy do the killing for you instead with their sweet magical rune sword. But anyway, I was laughing. I'm like, oh, that's like PoE 1.
That's funny. I didn't even think about that. It was cool though. Very, very good job. Did they do that as the intro to the live
event? Whole thing.
Oh,
so
cool.
Right when the countdown stopped, they started.
That's cool.
It was cool. Really, really cool. And then they went directly into the
Jonathan
gameplay trailer. Oh yeah. So then there was Jonathan, but only for maybe 2 seconds.
Really
and
short.
Then there was the gameplay trailer, and then they went into a little bit of their spiels, and it was good. In the live presentation, I assume they didn't have this in their YouTube, but they had some technical difficulties.
Oh no.
They had to. Yeah, it was about the time. You know what? I forget if it was in the trailer or if it was while they were talking about. I think it was in the. I forget. Anyway, there were technical difficulties where it just wouldn't load. the video wouldn't load. It would just like, you'd get like the timer, kind of like your internet turned off. And I'm sure everybody was checking their internet before they started, typing F in chat. Like, oh, no. I did the same thing, broadcasting, making sure it wasn't us, right? TELUS updating the router at the wrong bloody time in the middle of the day.
So it was just their
anyway. Yeah, it was just them. And so then they came up with a thing that says technical difficulties, and then it came back on super smooth. But you could tell it was like a YouTube video, because when they brought it back up, it started at the beginning of the first cinematic again, and then all of a sudden, boop, 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 and then there was fine. But
whatever.
Who cares? Who cares? It was a great cinematic. It was a great presentation. They nailed that presentation so much.
Awesome.
There was
so good.
I still have some questions, of course, but the majority of the questions that I have with what they said were more curiosities of more depth, as opposed to them omitting or forgetting to include information. Like, for example, when they had Path of Exile 2, ExileCon 2, and gold was showing up in the video, and they didn't even reference it in the entire thing. Like, there wasn't any omissions like that they overlooked. So I thought they did a phenomenal job on the whole presentation.
It was, for me, it was just fun to watch, and it got me hyped to actually play. Like, I'm not a very big, like, pause the screen, figure out what's going on. I don't even feel like I think that deeply while I'm watching it into, like, even too much into the builds. I just want to play. I want to get in and start experiencing it and playing it. Probably the one part that the most got me excited was the idea that you could dual wield two-handers. And I was like, I'm in. I don't care what that
is. That's right. Watch. I was joking around a little bit with the community, being like, you're probably going to be like, yeah, but I kind of want to start with like poison arrows or something. And we know that in like half a week you're going to be respecting it.
I'm going straight to warrior, man. I am going straight to warrior. I loved it when we got to do it at the play session, and we didn't even have that option then. But as soon as they showed that, I was like, yeah, that's the direction I'm going.
Double the attributes. Who cares?
Don't care. I'll figure out a way to make it work. But it was fun. I know that it was really good that they did it, but for me, it felt a little bit too, not descriptive, but just too much of each class. But I know they have to do it, but I just felt like it was a little bit long in the, this is this class, this is what they do, this is what you could do with it, this is what will look like in end game. But I do get that they have to. So I'm not trying to say anything negative towards it. Just for me, I was like, okay, what else? Anything else?
You could skip the whole section when rewatching it, because it's not for us. It's for new people.
But also I'll play it and find out. So it wasn't, I don't know, overly necessary, but I love that they're doing the 3 acts and then cruel. Like, that just takes me back to PoE 1 when PoE 1 first started. And I'm totally cool with that. Finish your 4, 5, and 6 and make them good. And I think the cool thing about that is that they put a focus on giving people something to do long term, which is what you need. The end game mapping system, you kind of need that to keep people playing through the beta. Also, you need to beta test end game more than you need to beta test 4, 5, and 6. Flat out. You have to make sure the mapping system, the end game system is working better. Like the skills, whatever it is that you need to figure out, that's more important than making sure 4, 5, and 6 are perfect. The Waystone system, Justin. The Waystone. Maps aren't things. And even in the video, a few times they accidentally said maps instead of Waystones. Oh, really? Oh, that's funny. That atlas looks bananas. And I'm pretty sure they said infinite.
Yeah.
Which I was it's like Delvish kind of. That
was the reference. Like, that's how they included Delve in a way, was without like taking you out of the experience, they made it the experience.
Is everybody's atlas the same then?
No.
Well, it's not. So if I look at my atlas when we first get to endgame, we don't have the same.
I think they said it's different for everybody. Like, just like the current Delve situation.
Interesting. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it looked really cool. I mean, I actually would prefer if it was random. That just seems crazy to me if it was, because I don't want people to be like, oh, go to this area to find it or whatever. But I was really blown away by what they're doing with the Atlas system, the end game. That looks crazy.
That creativity is crazy cool. It's weird. They didn't say you couldn't, but I got the impression that once you've completed a node, like an area,
Could you do it again?
You know, what we would consider like a map, right? You put the waystone in that area, and then that determines the difficulty level and the mods and all that. So I don't know, I forget what you put the waystone in, but when you...
It was when they clicked on the little spot and then put the waystone in.
It's like you can't do that again. It's like you're constantly slowly evolving.
But I'm curious if you can, if you succeed.
Though I do really like... See, but that's what gives me the impression that you can't repeat it if...
The only thing that you've
completed it, because it's all about progressing and constantly moving.
It is, but you put in those things in the towers that all of a sudden like affect that area. And so the benefit would be that you could repeat them, but I would imagine that the monster level's lower. So then there's not as big of a benefit as to expanding outwards from the Atlas where you're getting harder difficulty.
I got the impression that it was rinse, repeat, and you kept gaining those items so that you were prepared for the next tower that you used to reveal a fog of war.
Yeah, which is cool that there's a fog of war. The only reason I'm going to say that I also think you should probably be able to repeat them is they talk about towers overlapping, and you have to first work your way to the tower, which means that if you plan to overlap a certain set of them, then, but I don't really care. As long as that area is monster level lower, then why not let you repeat it? Because you're not progressing in difficulty and items and character power and stuff. But very, very clever. Like it's so cool that that's completely different to what we're used to.
Structures, towers, biomes. It all seems relevant. The amount of information that's on like the campaign map versus the end game map, it's good. Like it tells you if you're missing a boss. It tells you what to expect with your encounter. But then you can also expect to know a certain biome, you know what I mean? If trees don't fade away in front of the camera, like in Path of Exile 1, don't touch the forest biomes, you know?
But I like that it's not a boss rushing thing either. Like you have to kill all the rares in the boss to actually complete the node, which is cool.
Oh, I missed that detail.
Yeah. They said in order to get completion on those nodes, you have to kill all rares and the boss.
Well, let's hope that they care a little bit more about mod combos.
Yeah, I guess we'll see.
Because
you get one buffed up.
If they're just as apathetic about random in this game as they are in the standard game.
Could you get trapped at the beginning by not being able to, like, if you failed all the nodes around the starting spot, could you just be stuck? Because once you fail it, you can't repeat it.
I doubt it.
Yeah. Whatever, but it'll be very fun to play. I'm excited to like try it out because it's so different to what we do now with the mapping system. So, and you still get an Atlas passive tree, which is crazy. Like that they're all broken up and stuff. I thought that was really cool.
That was really smart. Like that was
clever
to have the generic way, but then to have so many different. Basically, they're like ascendancies, right? Because when in the video anyway, it would say like 0 out of 6 or 0 out of 8. So you couldn't pick the whole tree. You had to only pick this way or that way, just like an ascendancy. But I did like it. You know what I mean? Because so you focus on this stuff, but then you get that specific type of drop to improve that type of mechanic. And it still doesn't change. I mean, and they even had generic Atlas ascendancies, you know what I mean? Like just specifically for boss killing as opposed to a specific mechanic. And so I'm very curious to see what the Atlas passive tree looks like, right? To keep, like, I really hope the standard Atlas tree isn't just mundane and too generic. You know what I mean? I'm sure it's not. They always astonish us with creativity, but it is a very curious thing. Like I'm very excited for it because, like you've said many times in the regular show,
get it, Riley.
No, you're good. Do your thing, Riley.
She's just staring at you now. I can't see her.
Okay. Yeah, she doesn't want me to look at her while she's digging. But if I talk while she's digging, then they might
just talk. Just talk. If she digs, she digs. One thing that was cool with the those particular ascendancy things was they're not like easy to get. Like you actually have to progress within whatever that mechanic is pretty far to actually get points into those things.
Yeah,
which was,
like you have to cool. You have to defeat the initial boss. Yeah, so that was really cool.
I had to remind myself while watching it though that I can't think Path of Exile 1 when watching this.
Tough?
It was
when
really
they
tough.
Use the same mechanics. I mean, sure they revamped them.
The same mechanic name.
Right.
But I had to remind myself, like, because there were times where I was like, Sanctum. Like, there were a few different times where I was like, oh man, like that sucks. That being said, it seems like they've done a pretty good job of making it where you're not forced to do that. Even for the trials, like you don't have to do Sanctum. You could go the Trial Master way, and you don't have to extend all the way through the Trial Master to get your points. And you could redo the Trial Master one. And for me, the Trial Master one, it seems way better than what Trial Master is now, because I'm not stuck in a little circle. Like there's a map still to compete
with it, so you can actually
right. So that seemed cool. The Sanctum one, I mean, in the end, I'm going to try them all because I want to see how they work. But yeah, I had to remind myself multiple times. You know, I was like, like I love Breach. Breach was one of my favorite leagues ever, but I don't play Breach very much anymore. And so I had to remind myself with every single one of them, because there was a bit of a disappointment to me where I was like, there's not anything new, but there is so much new. But for me, I was like, the concept though isn't new. And so, and I was kind of hoping for some new concepts for Endgame, which that will still come. There's no way that doesn't, but it was a bit of a like, okay, like as long as it feels different, then I'm cool with it. And it did. I had to remind myself so many times though, watching it, like I can't judge this from a Path of Exile 1 standpoint. That's not really fair.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. And it's a very good reminder to everybody listening as well. I was just as disappointed as I was excited with many of the announcements that they had in the video. A lot of timed content coming back, a lot of timed content. Breach would be one of them if you can kill things fast enough. And I'm like, oh, shoot. And again, this can change, but when you have the best rings in the game, according to the video, gated behind Breach is like, well, kind of feel like I need to do that. You know what I mean?
But time content may feel different to you too with builds. Like we don't know how characters will work, but I do agree there was a number of timed
because you don't want to feel like damage. Like obviously damage is important with anything, but if you want that full theory crafting opportunity, you need those tanky characters to be able to do said content as well. The same thing with anointing amulets, right? Now that's completely behind Delirium. Do I feel forced to do that kind of content? Is that going to be timed content like it currently is? I don't know. So,
well, it sounds like it because they said that there were some nodes in the ascendancy part for it where it could make your, fog last longer and stuff. So it's hard to say without playing it, but I did remind myself multiple times, like you're watching think of it as a brand new game. There's some concepts, but they were very good at pointing out that the actual gameplay is different. It's just I have to get out of like what does Sanctum mean to me right now? Sanctum to me right now is not fun. It's not my way of playing, but I know a lot of people love it. But as long as it feels where I can do it, then cool.
Right. And the one of the disappointing things to me wasn't like it's game specific, but it's not a criticism to them unless it was out of laziness, but I doubt it. For me, it's so many of the mechanics that they are currently carrying over are mechanics that I cannot stand in Path of Exile 1. Like I block them. You know what I mean? Like Sanctum is one. The Trial Master is another one I can't stand. Those are going to be the only two for now that help you unlock your ascendancies, which thank goodness they actually got rid of labs. Hopefully, like they commented on traps and stuff, so I really hope that's not a big part of it, or
did they? I didn't hear traps.
Only part of one of the three options you have. I'm really hoping the third option is a mechanic that I like, and that's one thing that's really frustrating about regurgitating or recycling a mechanic is it's got to be very different if you're trying to encourage the masses. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of people that like there's a reason that they had blocked nodes on the Atlas passive tree, so they didn't have to go and revisit these mechanics and make them more enjoyable for a greater percentage of people. It was just, if you don't like it, there you go play what you like, right? In Path of Exile 1. So, but like the Trial Master, I don't like. Sanctum, I don't like. Breach, I just don't like the timed content. Like it basically came back, and even shrines I'm not a big fan. Like I basically enjoy Essence. If you actually know what the dangerous mods do, I really hope that they do that. I tried to find that in the video and couldn't, right? Like Essence of Glutton or whatever. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then strong boxes. So like they're back, but those are the only two out of all of the ones like Ritual and all that. like I liked Ritual before. They made it all wispy with the enemies of the wisps. So it depends what the enemies are like this go around. But like you said, I can't think of Path of Exile 1, but when that's all I have as reference, like, sure, I know that's they changed it.
Yeah.
But like, if I didn't like the content before, my initial reaction is going to be, oh,
I don't like it now. Yep.
That sucks. Totally. And so there really wasn't much of that new content that, as a Path of Exile 1 concept, excited me. So I'm looking forward to playing it and seeing what it's like. I'm really hoping it's different, feels different. I mean, obviously the gameplay is going to be completely different. So everything I hated could be just down to gameplay interaction as opposed to something else. So we'll see. Looking forward to it.
It was cool that they're coming out with 2 ascendancies per class, because then that actually made me kind of feel like, oh, I actually could see myself playing a few of these like that. I'm not actually, obviously I'm going the warrior route because I want to play it. I loved it at the playtest, but there were other ones where I was like, oh, that actually seems kind of fun.
It blew my mind that they were coming out with 2 apiece.
Yeah.
That's great. That is so great. 6 classes. 2 apiece. That I mean, we were talking in a previous episode. We didn't think they would come up with any. Right? Just come out with the classes and start slowly releasing the ascendancies. But that also, then there's no wipes. They're not going to wipe characters.
They said
it's just
that.
Going to be patches. Yeah, it's just going to be patches and updates. I don't. I mean, that's guess probably in the Q&A, but still, that crazy.
Which is cool. Don't wipe the character, but also then the part of that is just accept the fact that your build could like infinitely change, which is fine. I'm totally fine with that.
Yeah. So it was pretty mind blowing. Some of the different changes, like the campaign, just seemed really well thought out. I mean, back when Chris was doing interviews with stuff, it seemed like that was a huge part of their focus. The end game seems phenomenal, and I'm sure that they've had this planned for a long time. But I hate it when they accidentally say things like,
we switch plans.
Just a few months ago, we realized the end game was important. And I'm like, oh, that's so frustrating. Like, don't say that. We know that the end game is important. And I know they're just talking normally. And I don't want to discourage them from the open-minded and candidness, but it comes with its pros and cons. And it goes all the way back to them saying long ago, like, yeah, well, you know, like that old master system, it was time to revamp it. And, you know, the old master system was, you know, just thought of and done within 5 minutes. And that old master system, we're talking the ones before 3.0. I forget when the change actually happened, but when you actually had dailies and you had to do your dailies. And like Varici was so frustrating. You would never want to do Leos because that was actually PvP. And like, oh man. So anyway,
it's fine to say it in the past. It's fine to say like, yeah, we thought of that idea in 5 minutes and we're now 3 years later. I don't mind that. For now, it's kind of like, only because for there is a part of your head that goes like, did you rush it then? Or like, are we seeing like what you really want us to see? I think I agree with you. Just say like, yeah, we realized it was important, so we put a big focus on it. I don't think you have to say a timeline, but it for me, watching the Atlas does not feel rushed at all. I think that's very cool.
Seems like it was laid out ahead of time.
For the concepts, I was like, oh, did you feel like you had to put in the existing PoE 1 sort of concepts? But
yeah, so hopefully that wasn't the case. But just on a side note, when you say like 3 years ago we rushed this and we only put 5, see, that stuff eats at me too, because I'm the one that has to tolerate it. I'm the one that has to deal with it. And the master system sucked.
But if they're saying that's why we fixed it, that's fine.
Just say that you fixed it. Don't say that you had to deal with all this crap every day for 3 years because we came up with the concept and applied it in 5 minutes. You know what I mean? So but my point is like those little things add up. I hear them and I reference something else that happened and it kind of makes me think, oh no, attitudes aren't shifting or business plans aren't shifting. Like it's going to be the same. And but that's just what comes into my head. And like you said at the beginning, give them the benefit of the doubt. It's a new game, new gameplay, new everything, you know, just whatever hesitancies and reservations you have. I mean, feel free to keep them, but I mean, shove them to the side, play the game, see what it is.
I liked that they showed some of this end game type content now. And for me, it didn't feel like it was just fly through the map, kill as fast as you can. They mentioned that you're going to kill, you know, fast and big big groups, and that I'm cool with that. But I felt good about the fact that it wasn't so much about just zoom, and that every character sort of felt around. I mean, some of them felt real fast, which is cool, like the monk doing the friggin'
they showed that like 8 times, and I'm like, come on! Like every time they showed it, I'm like, oh, and I had to like block.
There were a number of ones where I was like, oh, I wonder how Ty's dealing with this, because they were bright. Like there was a lot of bright. There was like I don't remember if it was a spark into something. I can't remember, but it was very bright on the screen.
Oh, pretty neat little mechanic how flame wall works for all projectiles now.
Mm-hmm.
So that, there was that time where they had like spark. I don't know if it was spark, but something like spark going through flame wall. And it was like, and then every time they have the mercenary on, it's like, hey, light up the screen with bombs.
Yeah. It was cool how much I messaged you about this too, that even since the time that we played it, how much they changed the UI. It was crazy how different it was. Like you had all of the, it was the socketing where you see your skills was quite a bit different. The ability to spend your spirit was way different. That wasn't even close to what we played. Like where you're choosing your summons that you want to do it. It's just on the screen.
I could do that with the arrows. Yeah.
You could, but not there. You did it in the screen. What I'm saying is the UI was different. You did that in a different screen that we were looking at. Now, we could have been because we were split screen. It could have been because we were controller. I'm not really sure. So maybe this was always the case with keyboard and mouse play. But I was just surprised at how much different it looked from what we had seen. I love the 2 flask system. I think that's awesome. So much easier to play. I think it's really smart.
Yeah. But even every time you change how flasks work, your UI changes too. Mm-hmm. Right. And so that, and you're modifying where things are going to go, and having a 2 flask system, like we're not talking like just 1 life and 1 mana flask. It sounds like utility flasks are done and it's now just charms.
Well, but that would have to be, they took it away from when we played, because when we played, you had utility flasks and they became a new skill, but there was no slot for where those went. Like when we played, it is the charm thing you were talking about. So
right. And so the only thing, like you would change your life flask, you'd change your mana flask, and they would have their mods on it from what I understood from the description. But then it seems like charms is way better. Utility. It's awesome because
well, when we played, it became a skill that you would have to now use up one of your slots to use. So I thought that was cool.
And just automating it makes it so much better, because now, sure, like they gave the example of it being defensive. Awesome. Like, that's exactly what I want. And then they can pick the duration. They don't have to worry about it being abused crazy unless there's ways to invest into charms. But it was really nice because now it still encourages all the different buttons for skill combinations that some players are worried about how much of that, much button clicking there's going to be, especially with WASD for the keyboard and mouse players. So just removing the piano flask option, like it's not an option.
Not there. Mm-hmm.
You're right. You don't have to worry about missing out. And so I think it's really smart that they went that route. I quite enjoyed that. And
it also drops the stress of like the enkindling sort of thing where you were trying to automate stuff. So I thought it was cool, and it's based on belt upgrades, and like that's fun. That gives you a reason to be upgrading your stuff. We didn't see a lot of it, but I thought the loot looked at least better. Like they showed it. No, hold on. Yeah, it did.
No, I'm sorry. I'm shaking my head. You keep talking. I
didn't say definitely looked better than what we see right now in Endgame at a default level, at a default filter level. Now, I don't know that will continue. I assume they're still giving people the benefit or the ability to create their own filters. But from what I saw, yes, there was stuff on the ground, but it was nothing like what you would see on the ground at Endgame right now.
Sure. Now that you bring up loot, though, it was still very discouraging.
I didn't think so.
Well, I know it's better than now. Well, one, it makes me think that they're using Path of Exile 1's filter currently, because all the actual visuals are the same, the colors and everything. It's still all the same. But 1 kill would drop a lot still. A lot. And it was normal items, it was magic items, and they already said that we're going to be getting a lot of currency because they want us to play with the drops.
Which is awesome.
Right. So don't give me 1,000 drops. That means I need only a few drops that I can modify over and over. You can't do thousands of both. That's just going to screw up the whole experience. But their drops from one enemy, there was way too much showing. They were doing a lot of gameplay with their filter turned off. You could see characters gaining gold when nothing dropped, even uniques on occasion. You'd see the but then it wouldn't show on the screen. And the times they had loot, it was a lot dropping from one kill. And the really frustrating thing for me is the reason that I think they haven't really changed it and they're just hoping for the best, or for some reason. I mean, even in the video, they said, now let's talk about loot. And that's why we're all here, isn't it? Like,
it's fine.
It is.
It's Riley.
But the frustrating thing is you still see 8 different gold drops from one kill.
I didn't see just 8 different rare items.
Go back and watch the
different
rare
items?
rare items, not rare items, gold drops.
Oh, gold auto picks up, so I don't care about that.
Well, but still, right? Multiple transmutes dropping instead of them just dropping in one group. It's still just like 3 individual transmutes dropping. Like,
I didn't ever see that either. So if that's true, that sucks.
It is 100% still there in the videos that they showed, and that's really frustrating. Yes.
Currencies?
I don't mean gold. The gold wasn't still
pickupable ones.
But if it's not happening to gold, but it's still from their perspective, how gold drops, whether it auto picks up doesn't change how the filter functions and how things would or wouldn't combine, right?
So, but I'm saying is gold shouldn't, in my opinion at least, shouldn't be part of the same conversation as loot, because gold auto picks up. So if I see 4 copies of gold, that doesn't really bother me. If I see 4 individual transmutes, which I didn't see on their videos, if that's the case, I don't like that.
It totally is. It was there, and it's frustrating. But for me, I'm saying, like, and I get where you're coming from, but from a filter creator, you treat gold the same way that you treat everything else, whether it's auto picked up or not, right? Because you can modify it the same way, and it shows up the same way, and you deal with it in stacks the same way. It's all the same. It's loot, and so it was like, whether it was transmutes, whether it was chaos, whatever it was dropping in individual stacks from the same kill, and that gives me the impression that loot's not changing very much. And the frustrating thing for me is this is their promo video. It's their job to market what the game's going to be like. And if they still haven't touched on loot, fine, but that's crappy marketing to have. Like, in my opinion, it was still way too much loot. Just even if you throw out the currency and you're looking at the different drops that show up, if you want me after every kill to go through all these items to see what drops, to see what matters for my character, like, already we're getting into we're needing to hide crap stage, as opposed to, oh, that just doesn't work for my build stage. So that was really disheartening for me, just because that's something that the only reason I'm a filter creator is because of how much loot sucks. And I was really hoping to not need to be a filter creator.
Well, and I mean, you still don't know that yet. Sure. So we'll have to wait and see. For me, I felt like it was actually better. I thought that the loot, there was some stuff, but without, I guess, experiencing what that's going to be like. I don't know. It felt to me like it was better. It felt like there was not as much dropping. I didn't see like mass things on the ground when they showed loot. But if they are actually still dropping currencies as individual of the same type from the same kill, that I'm sure they can fix that. But I never saw that. But for me, it felt at least like there was less on the ground, especially when you watched a few of them doing the end game, which I do understand a lot of it. They turn the filter off for, so we'll have to wait and see what that actually looks like. I do agree with you. I don't want to go through the map. I love the idea of having lots of those basic currencies to mess around with the individual item. Like, I think that's a lot of fun. But I guess we'll just have to wait and see.
If I could encourage listeners, though, when you are playing the beta, don't compare the loot to Path of Exile 1. Compare it to what you want. You know what I mean? Like, don't not give feedback on loot because it's better than Path of Exile 1. Think about what you actually want the loot experience to be, and then comment, post, bugs, whatever it is, on what you actually would want in the game. If you compare it to Path of Exile 1, it's always going to be better. Path of Exile's loot system was the worst of any game I've ever played. Just to compare it to what you want, not to compare it to what it used to be, because it'll always, then they won't have to fix anything. But anyway, what else did you like? What else do you love? There was so much that happened, and it was, like I said, an amazing reveal. Despite, the reservations that we have about things, this is just a conversation between two buddies talking. We're both highly impressed with
I'll be playing it.
The full announcement was, for sure. Yeah.
No, I don't know. I'm excited to try out different classes. How did you feel about the witch?
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. I was thinking about it after. Like they don't have a witch ascendancy, or sorry, they don't have a minion ascendancy showing up.
Well, sort of. They're kind of like, yeah. One of them seemed very sorceressy. One of them did.
And then the other one, no, one of them had one minion related node, which is the exact
that we saw. They didn't show all of the nodes for each ascendancy.
Sure. Well, one is very fire based, and the fire based one basically had the Templar's Sentinel as a minion. It was that fire dog or whatever it was.
Where you can turn into
the demon was on the other one.
Oh.
But yeah, and then there was the blood magic one. Like neither of them are minion specific. And I was thinking though that like during the live presentation, I was like, that's stupid. Like you promo minions so heavily. It's the only real class you've shown besides the mercenary since January is minions. And then you don't have that ascendancy ready to go. So I was kind of like, what do you guys like? Really? But then I was thinking like, if you actually had a minion ascendancy, that would be what minion players play, and they wouldn't feel the need to do anything else. So it's probably better that they don't have a minion ascendancy, and then they just let you play around with other combos so that you're a more active minion player. You know what I mean? So I actually think maybe in the long run, it's actually a good idea, and maybe they add it after a whole bunch of beta players have already been playing with different ascendancies and trying things out. Because now I don't even think I need to be a witch. There's a mercenary one. Obviously it's the mercenary, but they have like the best all round where it's just like about quality and gem levels. It's like not mercenary specific at all. It's just, this is your best all round ascendancy, but we're going to throw it in the mercenary. So you play the mercenary.
I mean, it'll be interesting to see how well you can play the minion base with the witch on those other ones though, because there were some, I think it was the blood magic one where I thought that actually works well with minions, but it'll be interesting to see how they all play out. But I'm glad they're having ascendancies. For me, it was exciting to not feel like I was only going to play one class, because I definitely want to try some of the other ones out. There's a few I won't. Like the monk, I tried it. I'm too stupid for the monk. My brain doesn't monk. I can't. I've tried. It's just too fast. It's too many combos of skills. Like it's just not probably going to be my one to play. But all the other ones seem pretty fun.
Yeah, they do. I'm excited to go through. I'm really curious where you get to view the ascendancies. I really hope it's
at the
beginning. The character creation screen somewhere where you can just hit a button to let it show if you're that geeky and planning it out like the majority of us are going to be ahead of time. I really just like the first hour of my stream is going to be that. Or I might even create one of each class just to see what the starting nodes are like. Right. And then eventually I'll work my way to minions. But OK, what's going to benefit me the most? Obviously, I'm going to restart my class a few times to min-max it, because as I get used to the game and and the balance changes are going to happen all the time. But then, you get started and you're like, oh, okay, this is how active of a minion player I am or am not. Okay, so this is what I'm going to focus on. Now I'm going to restart because I want those travel nodes at the beginning. But I heard the phrase they used. What was it? Attribute highway.
Yeah,
is what they called the ways. Yeah, and then but that's now where they have jewels as well at those intersections, as opposed to having them off the track. They're now like right in the middle. So that was really cool in terms of an encouragement to use. Like in Path of Exile 1, sure, jewels are strong and they're definitely worth the 2 extra nodes to go far out of the way off the track. But now it's like you're clicking on this and it's an empty circle. Okay, I'm wasting this node until I fill it up. And it's almost like, hey, jewels, use them. And even the radial jewels that were normally only with Legion. No, what is it Legion? Starts with L. You know what I'm talking about. The jewels with radiuses. Really cool. Really liked all that.
I wasn't sure how hideouts work, because it almost looked like the end game was sort of its own area, but then they said you could unlock hideouts. But like, what happens with existing hideouts that are in the game that maybe people have paid for? Like, is that still I assume that's still an end game related thing, but I couldn't quite tell from the video.
Well, I've had a very frustrating account merging experience this week with GGG and support. It's been very frustrating. And I've been asking questions like, hey, like, because I'm nervous about stuff. I have 2 accounts.
Have you not done it yet then?
I've merged my account now, but I was very hesitant to, and I still don't have the answers that I want, because on one account that I have are all the characters I want to keep, and those aren't transferable. On the other account that I have, that's where all my posts are, like my PC account, where all my messages are, where all my posts are, guides and builds, all that kind of stuff. But they're not interchangeable. Like if I get a new message about my build, I'm not going to get that when I'm signed in with my Xbox account. Now it's on the website. It's easy to switch back and forth. It's a little glitchy, but you can switch back and forth. But then I'm like, okay, so if I choose to move all my MTX from my PC account to my Xbox account, do all my stash tabs move over? Like, am I going to be doubling up all my currency stash tabs and essence stash tabs? Is that what's going to happen? Are they stuck there? What happens then if that's the case? What happens to my guild stash tabs? And I haven't received a response yet. And
so what happened when you merged them, though? Because you said you did merge them.
So I merged my accounts, but I have the option to message support and say, I would like all of my MTX on one account. They will do that one time for me.
Okay.
I haven't done that yet because I don't know what happens to stash tabs.
Have they not got back to you?
Find out. No, they haven't.
Oh, they were really good getting back to me yesterday.
Well, unfortunately, I did get some of my questions before I merged. I had a bunch of questions about it, and I got a generic response back from the individual. I get that they're swamped with all this stuff, but I also don't care. Like,
yeah, it's your job. You're bringing it up. You
sure,
need to
it's the individual's job, but it's
it.
also like the company should know that they're going to be inundated with a ton of different questions with all this stuff happening. So I don't care if they're busy. This is just one of the million things that I need appropriate answers for. And they didn't even read my message. I got back a generic response about read this post, account merge, and then let me know when you're ready to swap all your MTX over. I'm like that. No. I've read the post. I have an issue with one of the big red warnings where it says, careful, you can't not read. Like, I have questions about the wording here because I don't want to screw this up. Like, they didn't even read my message. It had nothing to do with merging the MTX. So, and then any of the replies that I got, I haven't been back. So yeah, sure, they're busy, but also, who else am I supposed to message about it? So I've had a very frustrating experience. And so that was all just, I didn't mean to get into that. I wasn't even going to bring it up, but now I even forget what you said, but I don't know is the answer because I've had a frustrating experience. And so far it hasn't been the smoothest experience either. It's actually been very glitchy on the Xbox side. I ran into a loop where I couldn't get out of the game, couldn't swap back to my previous characters, actually got stuck in like an endless loop on the front end. So it was frustrating. But anyway, I don't remember why you said it, so I'm sorry to get into it.
No, that's fine. I don't have to do any of the merging stuff, so I haven't even really thought much about it. The only thing I noticed was that my name now has a number behind it on their website.
Yeah, I want to change my number. I wonder if you can. I don't know. I hope so.
Know. How did I not get 0001? Come on.
Right. Hey, I know I'm tight on time and I'm the one that needs to go, but give me 2 seconds. I gotta go to the bathroom.
Okay.
Oh, what's up?
No, I was, so there's weird mid thing. I'm going to add a timer just in case. What time's your appointment?
I need to pick Violet up at 10:20, but I have a car.
Oh, you do have a car. Okay.
Aaron took today off. Yeah.
I was going to say I could drop you off. So
thank you. That's very kind of you. Okay. We just did that in unison. We sat down at the same time, put our headphones on at the same time. Are they headphones or headsets?
Headphones.
Weird. Why do we keep putting phones on? Headphones.
I don't know. So the I mean, I don't know. We probably could actually talk a lot more, but we've also got After Dark, so we can talk more in there. But so early access is $30, which is great. I like that they kept it
super smart,
easy buy-in level. And I kind of feel like the Kiwi pet should have been involved in just the $30 one as well. I don't think you should have had to upgrade to the higher one. That was what it was. I don't remember what I paid, but I do know that the Kiwi, because the fact is, early access is still somebody paying to play. And for me, I felt like not only should they get access, but give them the most basic version of the Kiwi pet would have been cool.
Yeah.
So I was a little bit disappointed there. I mean, I'll be buying a pack anyway, but
even though you're going to get a key for free.
Well, so I emailed them because I'm currently not getting one, and on my Path of Exile 2
Isn't that stupid?
Early access.
You load your account, you go to early access, and it says.
So it says your account does not have access to Path of Exile 2 early access. Bribe a friend who has a spare key or purchase one now. That's what it says if you haven't spent, what is it, 480 total. But what I talked to support about yesterday is that they are they are still struggling to get the historical. So if you haven't spent that like very recently, I don't know how that can be possible, that it's difficult for them to track historical spending over the life of an account. I feel like that should be a spreadsheetable, easy thing to do, but
also something you need to do beforehand, the announcement, because you have clearly spent over $480. You meet the threshold, but currently it tells you don't.
Yeah.
So now it's saying you don't meet the threshold. Why don't you buy one now? So now you go and buy one because you think that you only spent $479. Like that the wording is completely wrong. Like you could go to court over that wording.
You could just say we have it. The thing that's interesting too is my original response from them was kind of funny, because I was like, do you guys have like AI canning these responses? Because I sent them the email. Now remember, I didn't watch the live stream, right? I didn't see it until 6:30 our time, which is like, what time did they do it our time? 11? 1? What time was it our time?
Was that the reveal? Noon.
Noon. So I watched it 7 hours after it came out. The original response I got back from them was, I'm afraid it appears to be some delays in early access eligibility from historic spending showing up on players' accounts. Could you please contact us again after the live stream and announcement and let us know if the issue persists? And I was like, do you have another live stream? Like, did I miss something? And now I did get an email back from our buddy Rory. I did get an email back from Rory after that.
You got Rory again with support?
Yeah, Rory's the best to support.
I want Rory. Rory didn't message me.
But so he said there's an announcement post here, which I didn't actually click on. Okay, so it was just the early access one. And he said, could you please contact us again once early access begins if you didn't get an invite but believe your lifetime support exceeds $480. Now, that's a bit of a problem for me too, because I want to play at early access. Now, granted, I am going to buy a pack. I will be buying a pack for sure. I love what they've done with them. I like some of their packs that they came out with. They're cool. And I want the Kiwi pet because I have the original Kiwi. So I will be buying one to get at least the Kiwi pet. But it's a little weird to be like, if you believe that you've spent this much and you don't get it, let us know after early access begins. And I was like, well, that's
a load of crap, because the wording says you don't meet the threshold, so buy one.
Yeah, it doesn't actually say it. It doesn't actually say I don't meet the threshold. It just says your account does not have access to Path of Exile 2 early access,
which is garbage though, because they said 408. Like, they need to come up with a better system. Like, this is the kind of crap that makes me think that they're still running at the seat of their pants. They're not prepared.
Sure they are right now.
Ready.
I'm sure they are right now. I'm sure they are running at the seat. They're on fire right now, trying to get things ready.
Sure, but
I'm not excusing it. I'm not excusing it. I'm just saying they also, I don't know of any way to actually see historical spending on Path of Exile. I have no idea if there's even a way to see, like, I can click view transactions. And does it go all the way back? Oh, it does.
It goes all the way back.
But I don't know how much I don't know how much they spent.
If you bought a pack, it doesn't tell you how much that pack was. Like,
it just says early access pack. Oh, you know what? Actually, I bought an early access pack and then I bought a Kiwi pack. So maybe I did have to buy an additional pack for. Maybe there was something separate.
I like that. There's something to let you know that you were part of the beta.
Yeah. I can see in my thing right here that there's no chance I don't meet.
Right. But I really wish that they would be held more accountable. There's like nothing making like it's to me, this is garbage. We're talking money. You don't screw around with people's money. You have to be ready for this. This tells me you're not ready when you have such generic things that it actually means the complete opposite of what someone says. You have to have different responses. You have to have different posts. Like, hey, you meet the threshold, but you don't have access to the key yet, or whatever it is.
Or something.
And if you don't have a way to track historical transactions, you're not ready to announce support packs. That's part of the package.
Yeah. I don't. It is
like we're talking business liabilities. We're not talking like between buddies. Like, oh hey, I'll give you $5 later.
It's not really though business liabilities because they're not beholden to any of that. They're saying that if you spent over $480 with us, you're going to get access to early access. I believe them when they say that. I don't know that they have the method in place to actually enact that and make sure that they're good on it, but I do think that they will. And I do think that if somebody feels like they've spent the thing that's weird to me though is when I sent that email to them, I would have thought it'd be very easy for them to see at a glance how much my account has spent. I would think that just makes sense in my head that they would know Tag's account has spent X amount of money with us. And also like, should I really have to wait till after early access launches? Like, I have a feeling that message that I see will not change after early access. I don't think it's going to change. I think I'm going to continue to see that. And then I'm curious because if I buy a pack, am I going to get an extra key that I can give away? Because
People get extra keys.
Right. Well, that's what I mean. I'm going to get a key and I should get an extra key. Shouldn't I have an extra key to give away? So it makes me a little hesitant to buy a pack now because I want to make sure I have an extra key to be able to give away.
Sure. Well, the packs give you extra keys too.
I know that, but there's still one that I should get for having spent enough historically. So,
it doesn't look good on them. That's for sure. But I do think it's legal issues. Like this is a company saying, this is what your money is doing for you with us.
Yeah,
and
but they haven't said I'm not getting it.
That.
So that's what I'm saying. They haven't said I'm not getting it. They just haven't given it to me yet. I have no doubt they will give it to me. I have no doubt that if early access launches and I still don't have it, I can email them and say, what happened here? What I do disagree with is that I shouldn't have to go that route. I agree they should have something in place to already sort it, but I also feel like after my email to them, they should have been able to take a peek real quick and just gone like, oh shoot, yeah, for some reason he didn't get it. Unless there's a bigger issue, unless there's a bigger problem.
And having the personnel to be able to handle the amount of traffic that's going through customer support.
I didn't expect to get a response back, and I got it right away. That being said, I think it was a robot because it said to email them after, and I was like, guys, it's been 7 hours.
They recently did count merging, and then they recently did support packs for PoE 2's beta, and through all of that, they encourage people to go through support. You need to be able to handle that traffic. Yeah. We've been encouraged to go through this department, so it needs to be able to handle the traffic.
Agreed.
So I'm running a little bit out of time. I got to take my doctor to, or my doctor to my daughter. I got to take my daughter to the doctor.
Anything else you want to touch on?
Yeah, I'm just going to read through. I have a long list, but I'm just going to make it very quick. Feel free to throw in whatever you want. My wife, who was watching with me, said to like our chat while we were watching and broadcasting that we should drink every time they said they underestimated something.
Oh, why did they do it a lot?
No joke, throughout this time, and we're talking like the Q&A. And everybody, like they said, we underestimated 100 million times. About just our chat from Twitch, people were joking because they all heard it and noticed it too. They're like, I can't afford that, or are you trying to kill us, or I can't go to work that smashed. Like the amount of times they said they underestimated the timeline or what it took for this or what it took for that. Like, oh man, like I appreciate the honesty, but I'm getting more disheartened about the release than I am excited. Like that's a lot of underestimateds in a short amount of time. Like in that hour and a half, 2 hours, there was a lot.
Can you give me an example of one? Like what did they underestimate? Because I probably wasn't listening well enough. Do you remember one thing that they said that they underestimated?
Off the top of my head, no, but the things that they underestimated to me at the time were really discouraging.
Okay.
I knew that I would forget, but I'm like, no, man, that's like a really big thing to like underestimate. No chance. And then I forget, of course, thinking that I'd never say that. Let's see. We already touched on that. Oh, another thing that's kind of making me feel like they're still running at the seat of their pants is if you go to Path of Exile 2's website. So we've already talked about a few things where it feels like they're just not on the ball. Path of Exile 2's website has not changed.
No calendar yet?
They revealed which classes will and won't be in the start. Okay, so nothing's changed in the class department. They've revealed some ascendancies, And that hasn't changed on their website either, even though it was just partial ascendancies.
Actually on their website as a clickable one.
And that's really surprising. That's not part of the beta. But anyway, they even haven't revealed the partial ascendancies that they revealed. That's not on the website. Equipment still shows the incorrect flask layout. Okay. The end game section shows nothing from the reveal.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, that should have been updated. I agree with you.
And then, but this is the worst. This is the absolute worst. You go to Path of Exile 2's website and you can't buy a support pack for Path of Exile 2. That to me is mind-boggling that you cannot support. You cannot support Path of Exile 2 from Path of Exile 2's website.
Oh, that is funny.
You have to, like you're basing you see the entire
why is there no
performance. The whole thing was geared towards new players, like the amount of stuff, and we're totally fine as experienced players, returning players. We're totally fine with how the layout of the presentation went. And this is what ritual is, and this is what breach is. Like, we're fine with that. We get it. We understand. We want this game to be popular. We want tons of new players. But how? Like, that was so weird to me. You can't even buy a support pack from them.
Weird. That seems like a bad oversight.
The whole website's been ignored. That's not an oversight. That's just like
that's
company. That's company structure. That's ridiculous. Loot. I won't get into that. The early access bribe a friend. We just got into that. Amazing cinematic. Personal opinions aside, still the whole reveal. I am disheartened by a lot. I love it. I can't wait. Still very excited to play. I'm still on the hype train.
Don't worry about it.
Sure.
Keep going. Next.
I'm excited for the possibility, the potential of being much more involved in the story as we go through. Like, it seems like a much more personal experience as you go through things. Let's see, 12 ascendancies at launch, really awesome. I'm really excited for auto weapon swapping. Just hit the skill, your skill swap. Can't wait for that. The life flask changes, I think, are really awesome. Forcing a mana flask is a very unique thing in this game. Requiring people, like, you can't have 2 life flasks. Requiring people to have a mana flask is very interesting. I do too, because you can still use the mana flasks mods, whatever it is that those roll. So even if you've solved your mana in a different way. One thing they never talked about, and this was very frustrating for me because of how Path of Exile 1 works, refilling mana flasks, stuff with the Blood Mage, it's based on kills, recovery on kills. Well, what about the a million different boss fights
bosses?
You have?
I thought the same thing.
Are you,
but maybe there's
are
something.
you actually having ads in every single one of those that you're basing your flasks around? Like, to me, that was the one thing they should have brought up.
Well, because we fought, reveal. There were no bosses with ads. When we played, there were none.
Right.
So I thought the same thing. I was like, oof, that might be tough.
I love that SRS is an automatic skill now. It's based on reservation. Whenever you cast a fire skill, SRS shows up. So I really like that. Attribute Highway, very informative maps. No wipes. I thought they were trying to get rid of totems for Melee.
I like the way they brought them in. I thought
it's
they were
the exact same as PoE 1.
No, it's way more.
You put out a totem, it does a skill with you, and it does lots of damage with you. That's exactly what it does.
Why do you think they were trying to get rid of that? I don't understand.
Because
I had totems when we played the play test.
Right, but Path of Exile 1, they felt like you're required to use totems because of the damage output, and it seems like they're keeping it the exact same. So that was kind of weird.
I'm excited for them.
I'm excited for the third trial to be revealed because I don't like the other 2.
Do we know there's only 3?
They said there's 3. Whether they add a 4th one, I don't know. But they said there's 3, but they're only going to reveal
3 is
2.
New. I hope it's new content. I want to see some new stuff that we haven't seen before.
Yes, definitely. We talked a little bit about the Atlas and Atlas passive tree and all the things there. Essences. One thing that I really noticed was essences are generic. So it says, instead of saying adds this, and then it has a list of everything that it adds, maybe it is specific, but when you highlight the essence, it just says adds a cold modifier. Or adds a movement speed modifier. So maybe if you hold Alt or whatever it is, maybe it is specific based on the
tier or something.
Right. But normally when you would highlight it, it would say right off the bat what it does for everything. So it'd be interesting. And I think it'd be really cool
just adds,
if essences are more generic. Right.
I like that you're just adding it, not re-rolling.
Hopefully this is in the game somewhere. I'm sure that it will be because they seem to be very good at giving information in game now. But waystones, which are maps, but they're not maps, but they're waystones. Prefixes give rewards, but suffixes determine difficulty.
and how many waystones. That's so cool.
And right, yeah, I like that, and I really hope it's that flat and determined. Let's see, man, I gotta run. I'm really sorry about this. I really wanted to have as much time as we could.
We can talk after dark more stuff.
There's chest rarities now. I wanted them to get rid of chests completely because they were so poorly maintained in Path of Exile 1. But now they have normal, magic, and rare chests as you go through maps or waystones.
Oh, the normal ones, you mean, like the normal little ones?
Yeah,
you're not talking about strong
random
boxes.
chests. Yes. Yep. Right, yeah. So that's interesting. Along with the reward keys at the end of a trial, there's gold, silver, and bronze.
Yep.
There. They did keep bricked mods, unfortunately. They mentioned that in Expedition, which makes me think that a lot of that isn't going to change in other circumstances.
Maybe it's kind of I think if you can find a reason and justify it, then it's not so bad. In Expedition, I don't like it at all, but no, I don't like it at all, but you at least are choosing it, you know what I mean, like you're picking to do it, but it does decrease the value of the Expedition if you can't pick a remnant because of that.
But at least in Expedition you have the option to, like, oh, okay, that is going to brick my mod, I need to pay attention. You can, when it's like on the random bit, like when you're valing a map, valing a waystone, if it's there, I don't like
brick
that.
A build. Don't brick a build.
Like not through the randomness, not through, hey, this enemy ended up getting this, and this modifier, so you're just screwed. Like that to me, like, what am I supposed to do? Especially in a circumstance where if you fail a map, you cannot do that map again, like that location. You can't brick builds with that. You can't. Not unless you are choosing prior to the event, I know this is too high of a risk situation, I might screw myself. That's the only way a build should be brickable, is if you're choosing the option of eek beforehand. But if you're doing it through random and you're in a circumstance where the Atlas, quote unquote, has, okay, you can never do that again, that's terrifying. Again, we don't know the exact ins and outs. They're not going to go into every single nuance with us. So that's just what
the only thing is with the Atlas being infinite. That's where I can understand it, but I still would never ever want something to be brick because of the
what
build
if it
I'm
was
playing.
Like through something that you're unlocking, like a hideout or something. So anyway, just those are the things that make me nervous, right? I know I haven't played the game, still looking forward to it. And then the last thing that I have on here that we haven't mentioned is sockets on gear through relics or runes,
and they're not even like,
or whatever they are.
It's so different. It's like you're just getting more something, which is cool.
Right. Yeah. It's just an additional mod for your gear. Yeah. And you know what it is ahead of time. It is static based on whether you're putting it into a weapon or a set of armor. And I think
you can change it too, which is cool.
And you can get kind of super versions of them through the Trial Master. So all really cool stuff. Phenomenal reveal. A lot of the content that's added and the method that it's added, as they described it, isn't for me, but I'm still very excited to go through and give it a shot. I love how minions they had such a small part of the reveal. I really liked that. It was just overall very, very cool, despite the things that I was personally disheartened with. It doesn't mean that the game's going to be crappy or the launch is going to be crappy. And I know it's a beta and 100 million billion things can change. I mean, look at how many times the game's changed from 2019 or ExileCon 1 to ExileCon 2, or from ExileCon 2 to the playtest that we had, or from the playtest to this reveal. Like, so much has changed.
It's going to change.
So if you're like me and you're just as disheartened as you are excited, there's like, try and remind yourself, myself included, encourage yourself, like, it's the beta for a reason. We can throw in our opinions. The masses might have their opinions. It might change in a way that we didn't think that we weren't even being that creative about, and it ends up being way better. So play the beta, enjoy it, love it for what it is, and don't be discouraged to throw in your own feedback too. I feel like with one of my minion posts that I had on Reddit long ago, I feel like that was actually a big deal. Who knows if they read it or not, but I feel like it was a big part of how minions are. So don't be discouraged. Throw your opinions.
And if you're just like me, get excited to play. You're going to play it. It's going to be fun. Okay, so we're going to wrap this up. Forever Exiled 268. Justin A.K. Tags.
And I'm Tyler, Wrecker of Days.
Patrons, we will catch you in After Dark. Everybody else, we'll see you next week in 269. We got a website, foreverexiled.com. Discord, you should be in there. If you're not in there, what the heck? Hit that 5-star on Spotify and the things. And Patreon and other ways to support the podcast. You'll find them everywhere down below on the website. Peace.
out.